hello there, you good people, friends, lovers. Thank you for joining us. This is 5 Minutes with Luc Travers. 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir and Amy Nasir and Luc Travers.
Hello.
Luc!
Art experience designer Luc Travers is here, not just being interviewed. No, he is in the studio. Those of you who are taking this in on video, you see what's going on.
This is actually just my hologram.
That's right. Oh, wait, we forgot the title card. Whoa, look at that. There we go. Okay, welcome to 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir. Is this great or what? We are going to have so much fun today.
Yes.
Today, which is November 21st, 2021. Today is Sunday the 21st, the 325th day of this, your best year yet. And you only have 40 days to make it, so if it's not already your best year yet.
40 days.
And we're going to help you with that if you're running into any challenges. You have 4 days until Thanksgiving.
Whoa.
Wait a minute, 4 days until Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody got the turkey ready?
No.
Are you ready to go? 34 days until Christmas. This is the holiday crunch.
Yeah.
What the heck?
And what's really interesting about this show tonight is that we have a live audience in studio.
We do. We have in the studio, we have an audience. Look at that. We even got applause. Whoa. All right. Loving that. So, and we've got the chat up, so we want to hear from you. We want to know what's going on with Thanksgiving coming up. What are you serving for Thanksgiving dinner? Or if you're going somewhere else as a complete and total utter parasite and eating off other people's food, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? And for me especially, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan, not pecan. Pecan.
Pecan or pecan? Come on, people, let us know in the chat. Am I right or is Luc right? Well, he's
How
the
do you
guest,
say this
I guess.
in French?
Pecan.
You say pecan is pecan in French. There we go. I think folks who were on the last Thanksgiving show last year know, for me it's pumpkin pie, which I'll eat all year round. I'm always suspicious of anything you only eat during the holidays. If it was really that good, like pumpkin pie, you would eat it in the spring, you would eat it in the summer, you would eat it in the wintertime, as long as you have too much whipped cream on top.
That's real whipped cream that you just whipped.
Well,
with your...
I have to admit, I'm partial to pre-made whipped cream. It's just, no matter how much sugar you add to real whipping cream, it just never has that same sweetness. That may be the one thing Amy and I don't agree on. The one thing we do agree on is marriage, and we're going to talk about that. But first, this day in history. November 21st, 1783.
Ooh.
1783, what the heck? 7 years after the American Revolution, a couple of guys in France, in honor of our French guest tonight,
Oui, oui.
flew over Paris in a hot air balloon.
Montgolfière.
Luc might even tell us what that means. Some of you might know. I certainly don't. Amy, who speaks a little French, probably knows what Luc just said.
Le cool.
Le cool. No.
Mon cool.
Montgolfière. Those are the brothers, right? The frères Montgolfière.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was French physician Jean-François Pilater, Desrosiers, and François Lorrain.
That's pretty good.
Okay. Made the first untethered air balloon flight 5.5 miles over Paris. Again, 5.5 miles, hot air balloon, so freaking what? Except the first airplane flight wasn't until 1903. The Wright brothers. Back in 1783, they were able to go up. They were able to fly. We always think people couldn't fly until then. The article that I posted to you, link in the show notes right after the show, mentions the ornithopter, that flapping wings that you see in all the comedic flying videos, was a few years before that. Somebody actually tried that, but it's debated whether that really counted as flight. Anyway, first flight, 1783. I'm going to jump forward in time to 1877, because also on this date, November 21st, Thomas Edison announced the invention of the phonograph.
Ah.
Now, the phonograph in 1877, some of you know, was actually recorded onto aluminum cylinders. That eventually changed to wax cylinders, and it wasn't until the 1906 that Edison started doing discs, what we think of as records or phonographs. Jump forward one more to 1934, this date in history, November 21st, Ella Fitzgerald, a young and gangly would-be dancer, took to the stage of Harlem's Apollo Theater to participate in the harrowing tradition known as amateur night. It's hard to imagine Ella Fitzgerald as a scrawny amateur.
Yeah.
But November 21st, 1934, we celebrate that. And the connecting all of these in history, other things happen in history, which I'm not even going to mention because it's all positive, it's all good. I love the fact that we had hot air balloon flights 7 years after the American Revolution. People were up in the sky. I love the fact that the phonograph was invented in the 1880s and became wax cylinders and became discs and, became 8-tracks and cassettes, like the Jackson Browne song says, and CDs, and eventually now we don't even have media. We just go to our phone or our iPad and bring it up. And it just keeps getting better and better. And the reason I want to keep it all positive this week is because Amy and I, as some of you know because it was streamed online, just renewed our wedding vows.
Yay!
As if we weren't married enough. It's like you get that vaccine booster shot. So we are now double married.
Marriage
We've
booster.
We've got the double marriage vaccine. No matter what comes at us, it cannot get us. It cannot take us down.
Oh wow! Do I need to get vaccinated too to be up here?
We might infect you.
Oh no!
You're going to go home from this weekend trip and you're going to be desperate to get married, which I think is a beautiful thing. We did a whole episode on marriage. When it comes to marriage, I'm for it. And you should be too. So what else happened this weekend besides Amy and I getting married again? Well,
does anything else need to happen?
Yes, it does. What could possibly make our marriage weekend better? The only thing that could make it better would be not just the gathering of kindred spirits in the chapel. And if you saw the ceremony, you know I'm not exaggerating, but out-of-towners. Between the amazing Kitan, who is here KJing, karaoke jockeying, the party of all parties, the reception last night.
Yes.
But also from out of town, Luc Travers. Welcome to 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir.
Yay! I love you, Luc!
I love you, Amy!
Yeah!
I love you too, Robert.
Thank you, Luc.
Aww.
Hey, anybody who saw the horizontal photo knows Luc and I, we've got a thing going on. Well, we've got chat coming in. I got to keep one eye on that as well. And hopefully we got some answers for what are you serving for Thanksgiving. But Luc Travers, as you know from our previous interview, but just to remind you, Luc Travers is not just an art expert, art historian, art teacher, but he is an art experience designer.
Yes, an experience designer.
And if you think I'm exaggerating, if I thought, well, Luc's great, but was it that great? He did it again.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
He took us to the Detroit Institute of Art. Oops, you did it again.
That's right.
We'll have to get a conservatorship to put you into control here.
Got lost in the game.
That's right.
Yeah, and there were many games, and we all had fun with them. It was so amazing. Oh boy. It's
the craziest thing. We're in Southeast Michigan, so we go to Detroit, Motown, the Motor City, the murder capital of the world before Washington D.C. took that over. And it turns out we have one of the great art museums of the United States here.
As you can attest, Luc?
I can say that and I can be cocky. But Luc can say it and you can actually believe it. So
I've been to most of them. It's one of my favorites in the United States. It's fantastic. Such a big collection of art.
Come to Detroit.
Come to Detroit.
Yes.
It's an amazing art museum. Yes, and I'll give tours.
Yes, he will.
And go without me. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But especially, go with Robert and Amy. Okay? Hire them out to lead you through the museum. Because that is a pleasure.
What you need to do is you need to find out when Luc is here in Detroit and then come with us. In fact, you didn't just do the one art tour, you did 2 art tours today.
Yes.
And we were on the second shift, which, meant we got you when you were fully up to temp. Fully hot.
Well, the highlight for me of that second tour, Robert, was you when you took over at the end. And you shared with us your favorite painting in the museum. And that was a lot of fun.
Luc let me ham it up at the end.
Yes.
Not that was my intention, but that's
Robert gave
what
an entire
happens.
speech about why he liked this particular artwork, and it was really, really lovely.
Which is pretty freaking cocky when you consider Luc knows what he's talking about. I'm just some guy. So,
well, it fits exactly with what I want to do with art appreciation, because I don't want to be the one that knows exactly what's going on. I want you to connect with the artwork, and I want you to know what that artwork means for you. And nobody's going to tell you that. You're going to tell yourself that.
Yeah, I remember when Kate and you came up with a title for an artwork, and you said, "This is wrong, right? Am I wrong?" And Luc said, "No, you're right." Until I said something better.
That's true, and then Amy's was right.
Just kidding. No, it's if you view an artwork and you give it your own title, your own meaning, your own relation to it, to your life, then that is right. That is correct. And as a matter of fact, you should be proud of being able to relate to visual art that way. And I'm proud of you, Luc, for helping us, for extending that pride out, for extending that appreciation out, that affection for painting.
Well, one of the great joys for me is giving these tours and bonding with the people that are on the tours. Yeah. Because I see much more in the artworks. I appreciate the meaning of the artworks by hearing how everybody personally connects to them. And then I come away with a greater sense of the deeper meaning, because then I can say, I understand how I connect to it, and it's in the same way that you connect to it, the same kind of meaning. But I get more of these different stories that everybody has about that particular painting, and I can gather them up and make them part of the meaning that I've seen in the artwork. Because we are all kind of agreeing and sharing this experience of what's going on in the painting. And so when you shared everything you had to say about that portrait, I thought to myself, I know her better because of you.
Yes. Yeah, isn't that amazing? That is just so amazing.
It is. We're taking a few things for granted. For example, you may have seen the previous interview or any of the other 17 interviews that Luc has done this month. Why has Luc done so many interviews this month? And the answer is, again, as some of you know, not only is Luc an art experience designer in that he's designed a way to experience art that is magnificent, touching the art, but the real reason to be interviewing out this month is Luc has an amazing book coming out.
Yes.
In fact, we've seen now, just today, the hardcover proofs of Stories in Paint, the new book, that you, of course, will own a copy of when you click that link that will be in the show notes, again, posted right after the show. Is that a beaut or what? Well, it's probably hard to tell on the video camera, so you will have to take our word for it.
Ooh.
Ah.
There we go. That's why we need a studio audience.
Thank you, live studio audience. Yay!
Excellent.
It's a beautiful proof.
It really is beautiful, and it's
really
an art
is
book,
great.
so it kind of has to be. And this is art books done right. But it's not just a book of 50 amazing pieces, but the features of this book. It's Luc taking you through his art method, but also giving you his version of that and encouraging you to experience it firsthand. But also with links, codes on each page that you can look at with your phone or your webcam, however it is that you do QR codes.
What happens when you scan that QR code? What do you get? What do you see on your phone?
So what you see on your phone is a zoomable image. Now, these are great images, but there are always details which are hard to see in an artwork. And as I've mentioned before, I don't want to tell you. I want you to see for yourself what's going on in the story in the artworks. So that zoomable image will get you little details that will add to the plot of each of these paintings. And you also get to hear me talk. The audiobook version is included. So what that can do is, I've got my reading of the artwork and I have some questions to help guide you, but you can listen and not pay attention to the words and just look at the artwork while I'm reading it to you. So instead of having to go back and forth between the text and the artwork, you can just focus on looking at the artwork and seeing what I'm describing.
Yes.
Now the book at this point is in the Kickstarter phase as these proofs are being created, which means you get to join the Kickstarter that made the book possible. Why do I say made? Why do I say past tense? Because, Luke, you put this on Kickstarter, gave yourself an ambitious goal, and blew that goal out of the water after 2.5 days, and now it's a couple times the goal amount. At this point, we're not just making sure the book happens, we're just making sure we get a copy of it as quickly as anybody else does. We want the first copies of the book.
Yes.
Well, you'll definitely get the first copies of the book.
Oh, thank you.
I will hold some special for you.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping that you guys out there will want a first copy of the book. And if you want one, I want to print as many books as possible. So please feel free to join the Kickstarter, pre-order a book. And if you pre-order the book, I'll be happy to include you in the acknowledgement section as the support of the first print of the book.
Wow.
Of the first of hopefully many prints, but the first print is the most important.
Now, do you have a cutoff date for, as people pre-order the book, or support the book, by what date will you determine what the run is going to be? How many copies?
Yeah, so the end of the Kickstarter is November 30th. So midnight on the East Coast, 9 p.m. on the West Coast. That's Tuesday. So the day after, what is it, online sales day? Like
what do they call the Tuesday after Thanksgiving? Or is it
the Monday after?
Giving Tuesday?
Oh, Giving
Giving
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So, okay,
Giving
yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah. So you give and you get.
That's
right. It's a trade.
Yeah, this is Buy-in Tuesday.
Buy-in
It's my favorite kind of Giving Tuesday.
Tuesday, yes.
Excellent. So anybody who orders it by then will help determine what the first production run will be. Excellent. Well, then we got to get on there because we've been supporting the book, but we haven't actually put our Kickstarter in. We will do that after the show wraps.
And the Kickstarter link is in both the Facebook and the YouTube chat, so please go there.
Excellent. And we'll add it to the show notes as well right at the end. The tour at the DIA really was, I was going to say extraordinary, but I used that word too much. It was, it gets you. And we did a whole show on things that make you cry, but not just cry. Things that get you. And if you want more of those experiences, you should have a copy of Touching the Art, because Luke, you again, I call you an art experience designer because, well, a lot of us go to an art museum and we love the art.
Yep,
we really
love the
enjoy
art.
the art. But you gave a great metaphor earlier today, comparing how a lot of people consume art with comparing it to what you should do by considering what do you do when you go to see a movie. So if you could repeat that.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So, well, I know everybody out there goes to see a movie as part of a tour group with a tour guide to tell you all about Steven Spielberg's influences while you're watching, the next West Side Story movie, and maybe even get into the, the politics of the West Side Story, all while you're watching the movie. Yes. You don't do that. No.
Yeah,
no.
And if I go to a multiplex, I want to see a few minutes of each movie.
Oh, yes. Just get a few minutes.
If I spend all my time on one movie, I miss out on all this stuff. So just a little...
No, absolutely. No, you're going there you're going in there to be swept away by a story.
Yes.
And how many artworks did we see at the museum today?
3, 4.
Yeah.
3 and 1 bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Again, the DIA is an enormous museum with countless magnificent works, and we looked at 3 plus 1.
And it was a full experience.
It was a better experience than we would have got just browsing. And, being inspired and thinking this is great and that is great, and you go home with that feeling, but it's kind of a general feeling. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, that's. I want to have the experience where I'm not just, okay, what did I do? Oh, I put a little check mark beside the DIA because I finished seeing that. No, I want to come away feeling like, okay, I spent time thinking about what understated romantic connection feels like. Or I spent time thinking about what reminiscing, using a memento to reminisce about somebody feels like. Or I spent time having a vision of somebody that I think is a kind of hero that I want to look up to. And those are 3 things that we saw today. And spent time thinking about and reflecting on. And maybe they're going to stay with us.
And they do, and it makes me want to be better and to have bigger experiences, which is what art should do. Art should be aspirational.
And you talked, I believe in a different interview, you were talking about seeing or noticing details of people and conversations and the contexts of people's interactions, and how you develop that through this technique of appreciating appreciating art.
Might be easier in French.
Apprécier l'art.
Oui. Merci. But yeah, you were talking about that, how by appreciating art and the method that you go about doing that, you're actually noticing details of life in general, even more than you were. I think that was on Don Watkins' interview, I believe.
Oh boy, but and that made me appreciate all the work that you two put into your ceremony. And the party afterwards, and how all everything was color coordinated with a kind of was it mint color,
yes,
with your dress and the table settings, and not only that, but at the table settings you had these little soaps that added this kind of delicious smell.
Thank you, Jennifer.
And then you had little mints to go around, and I guess it was just like beautifully organized and set up, and you don't need any art, Amy. You don't need any art to make something like filled with detail and delicious color coordination. No, that was just that. So it's beautiful. Well, yeah, but you know what? Maybe when I was a teenager, I would not have appreciated that. But I'm more attuned to it now.
Right. Yeah, I really appreciate your taking interest in the details, because there were a lot of them. But yeah, thanks to Jennifer for the favors for the mints and the little soaps and the mints, and it's just really sweet.
Well, but then we have to say thank you to Mark and Kayla for the lanterns and the lighting.
Yes.
And then we have to say, we have to go around the room too.
we have to thank Mr. Halloween. We have Sean, and we have Caden. I don't know, Mr. Halloween. Can we use your name? Oh, Paul. Mr. Halloween has an actual name. It's Mr. Paul Halloween.
He's also a semi-professional photographer.
That's right. We have like a trio of like complete assistants from the evening.
Yes.
He'll be a professional if we pay him. If we give him money, then he goes from being semi-pro to being pro. So we'll see if we can come up with some cash, just so he can have the title, But yeah, it was a bit of a. I won't say an artistic experience, but it was artfully handled.
It was. Yes, it
was.
It was
my
really
bride
lovely.
gets most of the credit for that.
Okay. What were your highlights? What were your highlights from the ceremony and the after party and the party and all that?
Highlight of the ceremony for me was expressing gratitude, because I chose something I don't normally choose, which is discussing the challenges and difficulties that can arise in a marriage. Folks who've heard me talk about marriage, you might get the impression that I'm saying it's all not just all good, but it's all easy. It's easy to be married for 21 years. It's easy to commit to another 21 years. Marriage is easy, which makes it sound like anybody who's married who didn't last 21 years, oh, well, they must have been a real screw-up. But of course, in the same episode, I made the point that I don't consider a marriage that doesn't last a lifetime to be necessarily a failure. Things change, people can part as friends. So I would never want anybody to think I'm a Pollyanna about marriage, and so I made the point at the ceremony, sometimes marriage is hard. Sometimes life is hard. And so the reason that's a gratitude exercise is because there are other people there, many other people there, who served as inspiration for me. When life is hard and I can look at them and say, well, these two, they're going strong. Amy and I are growing strong too.
Yeah, we are.
Even when things are tough. So that was one of the highlights for me. The other one, of course, was rocking out with Amy on drums, because we don't rock out enough.
That was great.
So we played some very noisy music that probably hurt the ears of people in the room.
No, people got up and danced, and that was lovely. And I played bass and I played drums, and it was just great. And it's been a long time since I've done that, and it came back, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, Amy is an artist and Amy is a dancer, but she's also a rocker.
And I also play alto saxophone. I've also played in symphonies, and yeah, I'm all
Triple
around.
threat. How can you not fall in love with this girl? So anyway, those are my favorite parts. Amy, what was your favorite part of the weekend?
Well, the first things that come to mind are, oh my gosh. So I have this really lovely coworker named Kathleen, and her and I get together every Wednesday, and we speak French together on Zoom, or we talk about work, things like that. And so, our wonderful friend Echo, family actually, Echo, she gave me the idea of, she said, why don't you ask Luc if he would be willing to go up to you, with you to Kathleen, and Luc could start speaking French to Kathleen, who didn't know that Luc spoke it. And so he did. And that just made the night. I so enjoyed that. Kathleen was over the moon when she heard Luc speak French, and I was speaking French along with him a little bit, un peu.
So that was pretty fun. And then
that was great.
I'm wondering if you're using this as an excuse for me to start like speaking a little French, or maybe using my fake French accent, because I enjoyed that part too. We had to like transition between a little French and English. But then I started speaking a little bit of my fake French accent, and it was very good.
That's not fake, folks.
If Kevin Kline can pull it off,
oh right,
Luc
French
Travers
kiss.
certainly can pull it off.
That's right, in French Kiss. His
French
name was
Kiss.
Luc. His
Yes,
name was
his
Luc.
name was Luc.
Yeah.
Oh, Luc? No, Luc.
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 That was fun.
That was really the best. And then as another, there's some longer stories here, but I'll just say that everything was great. I chose the music, the Firebird Suite finale, to walk down the aisle, and I tell you, it was just luscious listening to that and walking down the aisle. Robert went out first, and then I went out second, and it was different than a wedding in a way, but there were a lot of similarities to a wedding. And it was really a ceremony. It was just a joyful ceremony. But there was, I noticed that in many marriage ceremonies, there's kind of a wall, the fourth wall, that you don't really breach
Between
the audience, or the guests, I should say. But we actually broke that. We broke through that wall, and there were a lot of people who actually came up, and including Luc, who spoke about us, and some very lovely thoughts from Luc and from Sean, and from a lot of folks who we were just so very delighted by.
And it was so perfectly natural. I only thought about it afterward. How many occasions can you get away with saying, "Hey, people, say something nice about us"?
That usually only happens after you're dead. And then it just doesn't really matter.
Either dead or married.
Very
wait a minute.
Funny. No. But no, it was just so lovely. And gosh, there was another part where, and Lily is watching right now, where my friend Lily, gosh.
Lily incidentally says, Caden is the best.
Oh yeah, Caden is the best. So
there we go.
You made an impression on people.
I mean, just in general, but he was also great at DJing the karaoke.
Oh gosh, yeah. You might want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Also,
Thank you for the music.
Oh, a little bit of Abra reprise.
Yes.
Marius is on board, and he said, "Is this the Touching the Art guy?" Yes, this is the Touching the Art guy. And Lily asks, "Who designed the book?"
Oh, who designed the book?
I wonder who designed the book.
No, well, I didn't design the book. I've got a team. I have a team of designers.
Well, that's interesting.
I knew you had Haley and Marianne, and then we've got the digital component, Joseph and Matan.
I knew you had a digital team.
No, I can't do this by myself. I don't know anything about book design or writing.
Outstanding.
Or art appreciation. All this book is based on like all the tours, and it's like people on tours that are giving me stuff. So this is as much of all the experience that I've accumulated with the people on my tours, and a lot of people that are helping me out. Dozens of people that I've gone to get advice, to get help.
Now that's interesting. I knew you had a team for the technical details. Yeah. I didn't realize you had that much teamwork going on for the book itself.
Team for the book, team for the editing, team for the marketing. So I've consulted with everybody I can. So one thing in my mind is, Robert, I know people, I like people, and I think to myself, how can they help me? What particular set of skills do they have? And let me see if I can reach out to them and see if they're interested in at least having a bit of a conversation.
Now, you see, there's great advice for the introverts out there. We've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
Even setting up our wedding ceremony, our re-wedding, our vow renewal.
We had an anniversary team.
Amy had an anniversary
Yay!
team. That might to some of you that sounds obvious. To the introverts out there who we've told the story about our actual first wedding 21 years ago, you know, Amy tried to do everything herself.
I did everything
The
myself.
two of us did everything ourselves.
It was
And
difficult.
Luke, you're absolutely right. You've got to learn to reach out to people.
But I'll tell
it's
you,
a gift you're giving them, letting them be involved in it.
It is a gift that you're giving them, and when they're engaged, they feel like they're putting their own stamp, their own standards, their own creativity in it, and it's really fun for them. So don't deny people the opportunity. If they want to help you, say yes. And sometimes it's not going to go exactly the way that you planned or that you expected, but sometimes it's even better.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful surprise, and you can see people just enjoying themselves, helping you, and it's a wonderful feeling.
Yes.
No, so Amy, people have said, "Hey, Luke, aren't you really proud of the book?" I'm really proud, but one of my favorite moments so far was when I showed. I haven't showed this proof yet to Haley, but there was a paperback proof that was the first physical manifestation of the book. I showed it to Haley, who did the layout design, and she was so proud because she put it together.
Yeah.
And it's part of a team effort, but she had such a contribution to it, and it was so much fun to see how giddy she was about it. So that's something that made me really happy.
I love it. And I believe that Jim on Facebook he was asking about the cover, and the artist of that painting on the cover is.
The artist? Oh,
Yes.
Waterhouse, I think. No, not Waterhouse.
Is it John Singer Sargent?
No, it's not John Singer Sargent. Oh my goodness. So this is part of Touching the Art. I don't know anything about the artists. Frederick Layton.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's at the
yeah.
Museum of Fine Arts in Boston.
Yeah, Lord Frederick Layton.
Yeah.
Same one who did Flaming June.
Yeah,
Yes. Wonderful.
One of those pieces of art we all know, even if we know very little about art. Wonderful. Now, I still have to get to, Luke, what was your favorite part of the weekend? But first, because I don't want to miss the chat going by, because in the audience, we have the CEO of Aurum Naturals. And
Yes,
the holidays
we
are
do.
coming up, so every time the holidays are coming up, we put Aurum Naturals in our show notes. Link to, if you want to buy somebody the best beeswax candles in the world, gift them out. Give out
Yes.
quality, go to aurum-naturals.com. But she asked this question, and I think your answer might surprise her. Question for Luke, does he also create art? And if so, what is his favorite medium?
Oh, Caton, you're looking at me with wide eyes. Is that because you know the answer, Caton? You don't know the answer?
You have a guess.
Well, the art experience itself was a phone 5.
Well, I would say the art experience is a kind of form of the art, but I'm still relying on somebody else's creation. I don't create art myself. Sometimes I dabble in it and maybe do a little bit of drawing, but it's mainly to make my students laugh. But no, I don't create art. Maybe one day when I'm retired, I'll do some painting. I did take like a painting class one summer in college that I enjoyed, and just 3 hours went by real quick. But if I were to do some kind of art, it might probably be fiction writing rather than the visual arts.
And you teach literature.
I do teach literature. Yeah.
Yes.
I teach literature. I teach writing workshops. So I encourage students to do some fiction writing. And I guess, whatever I tell the students to do, I got to do it myself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it might sound unusual if you're an expert in the art experience that you're not you don't create visual art until people realize, but you're also a literature teacher, and maybe someday you will create literature.
Well, speaking of creating, I think, you don't have to be an artist to be a creator. And I really do think that you are extremely creative, Luke. I mean, in everything that you do as a teacher, and I think a lot of teachers out there know this, including Sean, who is in our audience.
Hello.
We'll get you back on this side of the microphone again. Just your last interview was great.
Yeah, whether it's teaching or doing marketing or even as an engineer, Paul and Caton, you bring creativity and new ideas. I mean, Hank Reardon of Alice Shrugged was creative. He was absolutely creative. He thought, and laterally, and he thought in ways that were different, kind of outside of the box, and all of that. So you bring creativity to a lot of different fields, not just art. And in teaching, I really think that you are really quite excellent.
It's something that I've tried to do. I've tried, in the decisions I've made with my career, I've tried to make decisions that would give me the freedom to be creative. It's something that I value. It's something that I find meaning in. And so I go out for that. But one important thing about creating, I've discovered, is how much it involves other people. How much it involves students, how much it involves the responses I get. And they validate, or they lead me to different directions.
Yeah.
And so I like with the creation of the book, I can't do it without a team.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Incidentally, Jim, who always has great insights, says, so far, Luc, everything you've said coincides with my own idea or rule for enjoyment and appreciation of art. Experience first, analyze later.
Yeah.
Well, you could take that into several different steps by reading Touching the Art. But that's a good point. And one more thing. Oh yeah, Petya says, I'm suffering from Amy syndrome, doing all myself. But going forward, I will allow people to help me. And if we can all learn a little bit of that
maybe the
from
theme of the show, huh?
Yes.
It might be the theme of the show.
Right. Yes, give
It could
people
be.
the opportunity to engage
I like that.
with your project.
I like that.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, and also Abby was she was on the chat on Facebook, and she said when you read about the art for your stories and art book, is it going to be in French or at least a French accent?
Will there be a French version of the book?
Yeah, will it be a French version?
Last night we had contemplated that I do the tour in a French accent.
Ooh,
Oh.
yes.
Yes, so, and I think I should have done that. I think Kaiten would have appreciated it, and it would have been a very interesting tour. Maybe I would have gotten a little bit more, laughter. That would be good, yes. Especially for the romantic paintings, maybe we should have done that.
Yes. I like how you say in French.
That's good.
There's just some sounds that are only American. Does anybody in the world say at?
At. I was at the store.
Yeah,
I was at the museum.
Can you say at?
Well, at.
At.
Well, you
That's
know what? I
pretty
think
good,
the Empire, the Darth Vader's Empire,
Yes.
because they have these vehicles that are called AT-ATs. Isn't that true? Hey,
I
Star
thought
Wars
they were
heads.
called AT-ATs, but I'm not a Star
Well.
Wars guy. Shows how much I know. And we're caught up in the chat, so now we take that same question to you, Luc.
Yes.
Okay.
What was your favorite part of the weekend?
Well, it involved Paul over here, Halloween Paul, and Paul Halloween. Well, I was because I was spending time at the Detroit Institute of Art preparing for the tour on Saturday. I was running a little bit behind. And Paul was very gracious. I caught him. And he said, "Oh, Luc, follow me." We start to go in the wrong way in the back, and I think we kind of shocked the officiate over here. But then we circled back to the front. And I didn't know what to expect for this whole shindig.
Okay.
I saw dress comfortably was the dress code.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes.
And then I turn a corner as I come in from the front door, and then I see you, and I see you, and you're in the wings waiting to go forward, it's just about to start, but I see you too, absolutely beautiful. It's like, oh my goodness, I am at a second wedding, and I'm crashing it.
Well, hopefully once you got into the chapel, you could see, it's casual.
Well, it was the chapel of love that I came into for sure.
Yay! It certainly was. I remember you coming in. I'm like, oh, good, you're here. That's all I thought was, oh, good, Luc is here. Oh yeah. But at the time, I think, I had that morning. Was it that morning? No, yeah, actually, it was Friday morning. I came up with this idea. All of a sudden, I had a brainwave, And I asked Kathleen, my French buddy, who also is a docent at the Martha Mary Chapel, that is where we had our ceremony, to go up in front of everyone and take a few minutes to talk about the chapel's history and how it was built and how Henry Ford created it and how he named it after his mother-in-law and more. So she went up there, and I think that you were coming in right before she went up or during or something like that, but you were fine.
Right before.
Perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that was perfectly great. Yay! But honestly, it was yesterday. It was kind of like a wedding, but not entirely. And it was actually, in a lot of ways, it was a lot of stress. But I knew it would all pay off, and it so did. It paid off tenfold, and I didn't want the night to end. I just didn't, and I was just so very happy. And I still am. So thank you to my anniversary team out there. And in our studio audience, give yourselves a hand.
And so your favorite part of the weekend was that? Or just one that stands out? I guess it'd be hard to say what was your favorite part.
There was
DIA.
a lot of different favorites, but that was the first thing that stood out for me because that was kind of being thrown into it and seeing you two kind of backstage. It was my own little glimpse before you guys kind of did the whole ceremony thing, and it was like my little private moment is like being surprised and being awed and saying, "Oh my goodness, you clean up well," you know.
Yeah, I know what he usually looks like. And...
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, my other I was gonna say, so Lily was there. Lily she's a Renaissance woman, and she knows many languages, including Japanese. And so I dance flamenco, and when I say that, it's a long story, but dancing flamenco is sort of like a religion, kind of. It's unlike. It's not like, I'm taking, a ballroom lesson. It's not that. It's like, I don't know, it's like a cult. And, but it's in a good way. In a good way. There's no altruism or self-sacrifice. So my flamenco teacher shows up with the other student, Lucs, I believe that's how you say her name. And she's originally from Japan. So I had Lily talk with Lucs in Japanese, and it was just the most adorable thing ever, and I just loved it. And that was just such a great time. And one other thing is we got to ring the bell. So
Oh yeah, the bell ringing.
So,
the bell ringing.
The bell ringing.
The bell ringing.
Applause.
Yeah, most churches or chapels you go into, they don't usually let you ring the bell.
No, they don't.
We've been going to Greenfield Village, all our lives, and you see the rope hanging down from the belfry, but of course...
They have it kind of tucked up.
You're not allowed to touch that.
Don't touch it.
So, yeah.
Don't touch the art. Don't touch the bell.
And in fact, we were married in that chapel 21 years ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to ring the bell that time.
No, we didn't. For some reason, they weren't doing it.
Yeah.
And so we were able to go out, and somebody has it on video of us doing it, and we rang that bell 21 times for each year that we were married. So it was really fantastic. Gosh.
You might even say it was beautiful, and if you're Italian, you might even say it was bellissimo.
Bellissimo, yes.
I tried to work in a pun. I tried to.
Bellissimo. That's good. That's good.
Very good. I love it.
I'll use that the next time I go there. I'll go to one of the docents there and ask them if I can ring the bell. And they'll say no, and I'll say, but it's bellissimo. And I'm sure that will change their mind.
They'll say, oh, that's the funniest joke I've heard all day. You may ring it. You have something to say, Sean, from our audience?
Oh, no, I'm sure that they'll be very accommodating and that you won't have any punishment.
Oh.
All right. We could bring Sean up here on the couch, too, but It might.
There's not enough room for him.
There's not enough room for that kind of humor.
We could bring up Mr. Halloween. He might fit. Oh, Linda is in the chat on Facebook. Hey there, Linda. Hi there, Mom. Love you. Look, we have Luke on our couch. That's Linda Cordair of Cordair.com. Fine art. Quaint Cordair fine art.
And Petty has been very complimentary. For example, she says, I loved also the matching color blue-green Viridian, Amy's princess dress, all dancing at the end, everything. And then she says, bellissimo. And that's because, among all the other unusual things that we did at this re-wedding ceremony, it was streamed live on Facebook. So anybody who wants to see what it looked like, in addition to any photographs we eventually get from our professional or semi-professional photographer, you can actually watch a video of that. And a few people did.
Yes, it's on my wall. So if you're not friends with me yet on Facebook, please go ahead and request a friendship with me.
There are people who are not yet friends with you.
I know.
At facebook.com/Amy Nasir.
And you'll be able to virtually attend after the fact our wedding ceremony.
Yeah, or at least skim through and see what it looked like. There were some amazing moments.
Yes.
If I do say so myself.
Yes.
And I do.
Yeah, I'm just so happy that our wonderful friend of Aurum Naturals, she gifted us 2 tapers and a Unity candle.
That's right.
Oh,
the candles for the ceremony did come
the
from
candle
Aurum.
moment.
Oh, I did like the candle moment where you each had a candle and you lit a third candle together, so the flames all joined.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Mm-hmm. And then we did it again. We made a kissing noise.
Yes, I remember that the 2 candles kind of kissed each other one more time.
I had to. It's just, what else are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna do?
A kiss of fire.
And then after the ceremony, instead of going down the aisle, because we were already married, right? So it's not like, woo, introducing the newly married couple. So what we did was we stayed on stage, or on the altar, whatever you want to call it, and our wedding song, which is Little Brown Jug by Glenn Miller, we played that, and we started swing dancing a little bit to it. I did the best I could in my big, wonderful, fluffy gown. And it was a lot of fun. And then Robert and I did our signature move, which was we held each other's hands real tight like this, and then we spun around as fast as we possibly could. And it was great. It was truly lovely. And then we invited the guests up to dance, and it was great. Oh my gosh.
That was a nice touch. I like that.
You.
I like
Thank
getting up there
you.
and dancing.
Yeah.
Getting if an altar of a church is good for anything, it's for dancing.
Yes, it is. And the guests shouldn't just be relegated to the pews. They can come on up and experience life on the altar and take that.
Experience life on the altar.
Yes.
Yeah. An alternative lifestyle?
An alternative. I was going to say, have a chance, have a moment of where you're in the spotlight. Like Robert says, have a moment where you're in the spotlight.
That's right.
Alternative lifestyle. It's very good.
That's right. Well, and Luke gave me that spotlight moment this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You
Just
did.
today.
He had, as he often does, he had 3 paintings we focused on. Then he brought in a 4th because he knew which artwork in the Detroit Institute of Art is my favorite, and that may be the best wedding present that I've received. Magnificent. Lily incidentally said many people did not want it to end, and I know she's talking about the reception we had, but
Yeah.
I don't want it to end either, and that's why I remarried my wife. Just to get that booster shot in.
Yes, it was a booster for marriage. It was wonderful. I think I recommend it to everybody, and you don't have to have a giant ceremony like we did, with all the details and all the frills and the matching colors. You could do something at your house with a dinner party, or however. You could do it on the beach, with a few witnesses or whatever. It's just something you should do.
Yeah, like the jewelry companies say. Let her know you'd marry her all over again. Oh, I didn't do it right the first time? So,
But
Yes.
do we want more of the ceremony? So we want the booster to wear off quickly. Because we want more of.
You want to? We we're probably going to be doing a GlowCon next year, a Great Lakes Objectivist conference, and maybe we'll do a little mini ceremony.
Now she's addicted to marriage. You might as well face it. You're addicted to love.
And we've actually had we've done this a few times in Michigan. We've got the Holly Dickens Festival in Holly, Michigan, and there's either the Queen is there or there's Scrooge, who has
Renewed our wedding vows.
our vows.
And when Scrooge renews your wedding vows, it's great.
Yeah,
Because
it's
he'll
the
give you a
best.
certificate, signed and everything by Ebenezer Scrooge.
Mm.
And it says something like, even though I tried to talk them out of it, Robert and Amy were remarried on this day. Because he's Scrooge.
Oh
you know.
yes.
And it's funny because it's all good natured. You get kind of the cross between the cantankerous Scrooge and the after his transformation
Yes,
Scrooge.
exactly.
Great fun.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
as we get close to 5 minutes, a couple of takeaways. First of all, most of you know, but if you don't, Luc's art method is documented in Touching the Art. If you don't have that book yet, you should get it. If you haven't been on one of his art tours yet, you should be on it. If you're familiar with the method from the 17 or 27 interviews that he's done this month
Yeah,
alone,
I know, like 49 maybe
yes. This is a busy man.
Yes,
The
you are.
busiest man in art appreciation.
That's right.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
James Brown was the busiest man in show business. This is the busiest man
Can I
in
be the
art.
sexiest man in art
Yes.
appreciation?
Sexiest man in art appreciation.
You're the most interesting man in art appreciation.
That too. But if you're already familiar with the method and you want more content, that's the next book. And you should be on that Kickstarter. Link has been in the chat here. We'll also add it to the show notes. And the book looks like this. It's amazing. It is outstanding. And if you've got a phone or a device that can read QR codes, you get the audiobook at the same time. Such a deal.
Yes.
My
Let me
takeaway
focus
for the
that.
week, and I'll be interested to know if Luc has a takeaway and Amy has a takeaway, but my takeaway for the week is Thanksgiving is coming. My homework, and I always invite you to join me on the homework for the week. My homework is I'm going to be redoing my gratitude exercises. So if you follow me on Facebook, if you follow me on Twitter, you will see me posting 3 things that I am grateful for every day, at least through Thursday, through Thanksgiving. This weekend, I have more to be grateful than I could possibly fill the week with, so this is going to be easy. But today, I am grateful for Luc. I'm grateful for Paul and Caton and Sean in the audience. I'm grateful to each and every one of you listening.
Yes.
I don't have a post-it note for the week. If I come up with one, I'll let you know. But join me in the gratitude exercise. Amy, do you have a takeaway for the weekend or for the show?
Well, okay. So I forget exactly how this ended up this way, but we have this picture of Luc, me, Robert, and Luc outside of the Martha Mary Chapel.
Oh.
Talk about favorite moment.
Talking about favorite moments, hands down, my favorite moment. And I don't know exactly what happened. Robert, do you remember?
We had several people taking pictures, including
Yes.
our professional photographer. One of them was holding a cell phone in kind of portrait mode, and you said, no, horizontal. And Luc, hearing this, got horizontal. Leg in the air, so naturally I couldn't resist. Picking him up.
What does that mean?
Obviously.
You can't resist Luc's legs.
Although it looked like I was ready to walk him over the threshold, but so yes.
I was just happy that you've been working out, Robert. Because
Posted. Oh, yeah.
Well, if it was me in the air, obviously the weight difference might have been a problem. But no, you're right, that was a moment.
I think that Caton is going to be able to post that photo on
Caton
the
captured
chat
it
on
and
Facebook.
posted it, yes. And if it can be put in the chat, that would be cool too. And Luc, did you have takeaways for the weekend? What do you want to take with you from this weekend? Probably more than one, but what comes to mind?
Well, the thing that comes to mind is going back to the beginning of the show where you talked about the hot air balloons.
Yes.
Flight. I love flight. And that's the thing that has allowed me to be here.
Yes.
I love to travel, and I'm so glad that I get to get on a plane, and it seems like big brain to talk about this, but just, once in a while, got to stop and think how amazing it is for me to come from North Carolina to here, to be live, to be able to have a tour experience, and to be here for your re-wedding.
Yes.
So I'm happy for, and my takeaway is it's a joy through the centuries for people who looked up at the sky and saw the birds and said,
if only man could do that.
yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, I appreciate that callback. It's still amazing to me, 1783.
Mm-hmm.
Hot air balloons.
Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, at Greenfield Village, that is where the Martha Mary Chapel is located. We have the Wright home and the Wright bicycle shop. The Wright
120
brothers.
years later, 1903, that first flight. And now 2021, and even starving artists can afford to get on an airplane. And so
Send me food.
You got to get on that Kickstarter, because
You got to get on the Kickstarter, folks. Be part of history, as this is honestly, this is unlike anything else out there. And
we've got art
unique,
books on the coffee table there. Nothing like this.
It
Nothing that
enriches
takes
your
you
life.
through like that.
Yeah, it enriches your life like nothing else. Really.
Well, you
And
too.
Luke, you enrich our lives like nothing.
Well, you beat me to it. I was about to
that
say
was gonna
that.
be-
That's going to be my line.
She set us right up there, so had to figure we'd jump right. And yet it's all true. It may sound cliche, but some of the best cliches become cliches because they are true. Luke, you're the best. Thank you for joining us. All of you out there in the studio audience, thank you for joining us. And all of you out on the internet, and anybody listening to the show afterward as well, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. And gratitude exercises this week, I want to see them on your wall too, but I will be letting you know what I am grateful for. I'm grateful for Luke. I'm grateful for my bride, my booster shot bride, my bride again. Time for another honeymoon.
Yes, I think so.
This is where I leave.
Yep. Well,
Yes, if you would like to contribute to the Nasir Honeymoon Fund,
right.
to robertnasir.com and become a Patreon and donate on PayPal, please.
Oh, that's right. I don't have my end sheet in front of me. That's right. Within 5 to 10 minutes after the show, you will see show notes updated with links to all of the interesting things we talked about, including the first hot air balloon, Thomas Edison's phonograph, and Ella Fitzgerald as a shy amateur. Great stuff. We will have links to touching the art, to the Kickstarter for the new book. Where did that voice come from? As always, we want to say thank you. We appreciate you being here, and we wish you success. We wish you flourishing, which means not just making lots of money, though that too, but taking in these rich experiences that make you say, God, life is worth living. And as always, and all 3 of us this time, all 6 of us in the room, we wish you love.